Okay, hello. So, in the spirit of Yule and wanting to find more ways to motivate myself to do some of the things that I know bring me joy, I thought I'd do a little like a video talking about reflecting on my reading in the past year and kind of making plans for reading next year. Because reading is something that I personally really value. I want to be able to do it more in my life, even though I feel like I am really busy, and oftentimes like the ADHD, depression, anxiety, all kind of meld in a way that makes it feel like it's not possible, but it is. And I want to encourage myself to take care of myself. So, first thing is the major thing that has really improved my reading in this past year, and that is my reading journal. This reading journal I made myself, just some scrapbooking paper, and I printed a dot grid on a handful of computer paper pages. And bound it myself, and it has honestly been such a joy. A place that feels very me, that I can reflect on everything that I've read and have some kind of like a physical reminder. That's not just the book itself of what I've read. And I find that's especially helpful for like audiobooks and ebooks where I don't have a physical object to remind me, oh yeah, I've read that and that's what this is about. When I finish an audiobook, it's like it's exited my mind entirely. So this is the one I did this year. I started it last December, like middle of December, because that's when I started seeing a lot of people's content about reading journals. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. But it is largely everything that I've read this year. And as of December, what is it, the 18th, I've hit 40 books, which feels crazy for me. I think outside of college, I was reading maybe 4 books a year. I'm quite pleased at 40. Um, my new reading book is this one. I've also made it this year, and I'll do a little flip through later. But I had a lot of fun, kind of pre-planning all the initial pages, and like decorating it all at once so they all kind of match up. So here is my current reading journal for this past year. I had a lot of fun playing with it when I first made it. So of course, first is table of contents, and it's mostly just all the single page spreads for all the books. I do have TBR recommends, which I did end up having to like add to because I needed to keep track of my Audible library because it was driving me crazy. And then it pretty much just goes straight into all the full page spread. Took a lot of ideas from other people I saw doing reading journals, especially the Bujo girlies. This is my new one for 2026. So of course, obviously the theme is heavily blue. Still open with an index. But goals to keep myself kind of situated on them. I actually reference my format every time I make a page still. So I think it's important for me to have this somewhere, as well as remembering like what exactly I mean when I'm saying which number. Some trackers that I wanted to keep up with, specifically, am I reading physical, audio, or ebook more? And am I reading things that I've owned, I've borrowed from the library, or that I downloaded? Keeping track of books that I rate. Like, did I rate things a lot of 5s or a lot of 1s this year? And then keeping track of which month I read the most in. Alright, and then I have my massive TBR list. This is what I physically already have, that I very slowly update. And then, this tracker is really important to me for finishing my Audible library. Essentially, I want to be able to delete Audible, but for some reason, I have 2 separate accounts. I don't remember this happening, but having this just makes it a lot easier for me to keep track of what book is on what account. And also, the little numbers next to them are how long each book are. And what I like to do is read the shortest ones first, so that I can get it out and kind of keep that dopamine going. And then I have a very, very tight list of recommendations. And then this will be our single page spread for each book once I finish. And I realize that I am already halfway through the first signature. 56. 56 pages to write on. That is slightly less than my goal to read. So maybe if I'm hitting my stride well, maybe I'll do tip-ins here? I don't know. I'll do tip-ins somewhere. I really don't want to have 2 books for 1 year. Maybe I was too enthusiastic with my starting pages. But look at it. It looks so pretty. And I am quite pleased with all of this. So my major goals in terms of reading this year are to read at least 50 books in a year, which I think is very doable considering I hit 40 this year. So 50 books in a year. To reduce my physical TBR basically as much as possible, and to clean out my Audible TBR. Essentially, I want to be able to delete Audible. And then my other goal is to reduce my physical TBRs. My physical TBRs are quite massive. I've collected a lot of very long novels that I never got around to reading because they were so long, they were very daunting. My other problem is that anytime I see like free books, I pick up like 6 or 7. I'm honestly proud of myself. The last time I saw a free book pile, I took 1. I have a lot of nonfiction books about teaching, also a handful about writing. There is my physical TBR that I'm currently working on. This over here is fiction. This over here is nonfiction. Nonfiction has a lot more shorter books right down here. Those are mostly the books on teaching. Whereas fiction has a less but longer books. A bunch of books that I've gotten from thrift stores. And then I also know that for Yule, my mother is going to be getting me a handful of books. It's pretty big. Though, in the shelves back here, there are books that I haven't read. Maybe a third of the books over here. Maybe a little more. These ones over here are all manga. And I'm pretty sure I've read all of them. In terms of reading, it's mostly the fiction over on this side, which I will worry about when I've reduced that TBR pile, which the one that's up there is the one that I'm far more worried about. This camera angle is slightly different because my rig is a disaster. Just to reiterate, I am very pleased with how much I've read this past year, and I do think having a reading journal to be able to document and look at that is the major reason why. I'm very excited to have a new reading journal that I'm excited about for this year. I'm very excited to have such a big TBR and have such like interesting books that I really want to read on it. But also it's very daunting, and I'd like to actually read the books that I have. Maybe around summer, like halfway through the year, I'll do some weeding. Get rid of books that I haven't read in a long time, I'm not likely to reread in a long time, that just aren't for me anymore. Because I think I still have a lot of childhood books that were bought for me in like 5th grade. And I think it's time to say goodbye to those, and I think that's okay. And I want to change my shelf layout at the moment because I hate these shelves so much. So I'd like to get a proper bookshelf. Ooh. I'd like to get a proper book. Stop! I'd like to get a proper bookshelf. I have to finish this before everything falls apart. I'd like to get rid of these 2 bookshelves, because they're not bookshelves, they're just regular shelves, and to put an actual bookshelf there. And I guess I have to stop right now because everything's falling apart.